Erik tenhag must now tell Sir Jim Ratcliffe the same thing he told the Glazers at Man United. As 5 Manchester United players who won't be happy Erik tenhag is staying. Following last month's 2-1 win over Manchester City in the FA Cup final at Wembley, Manchester United will participate in the Europa League for a second time in 3 seasons next term. They will do so with Erik tenhag at the helm. The Dutchman has been kept on as manager after a thorough review by Ineos, which concluded with the news that, despite the speculation, the 54-year-old will be given the chance to lead United into a new era. United failed to secure European qualification for 2024-25 after finishing 8th in the Premier League table. It marked their lowest ever finish in the Premier League era. However, United knew they had a second bite of the European cherry and would do so with a win over City. Goals from Alejandro Garnacho and Kobbie Mainoo sealed a Europa League berth, relegating Chelsea to the Conference League and denying Newcastle United a spot in Europe altogether. It arguably kept tenhag in a job too. As a result, United could play up to 67 matches in all competitions next season. Should United require the knockout round, they could play up to 17 games in the Europa League alone. With injuries having been a big problem throughout the 2023-24 campaign, there is no denying that United need as much strength and depth as possible. The Reds have been guilty of stockpiling players in recent years, meaning their squad has a bloated feel to it. But the difference in quality between their regular starters and those in the reserve trench is quite striking, highlighted by their 8th-placed finish. United need a better level of quality in reserve, and that is why this summer's transfer window is so important. A lorry load of changes need to be made, but much of it rests on the funds they can generate through player sales. But to ensure United have the right level of depth available to them, they also need to get the right balance. Anthony Martial's impending exit will leave United with just one out-and-out striker in the form of Rasmus Højlund. Elsewhere, unless United decide to trigger the option to sign Sofyan Amrabat permanently, his return to Fiorentina will leave them with just one defensive midfielder in the form of Casemiro, who could be sold this summer. If the former returns to Italy and Casemiro is sold, United will need 2 defensive midfielders. United manager tenhag, who has been confirmed as staying at the club, addressed the need for having 2 defensive midfielders after Amrabat signed last September. A few months earlier, the Dutchman had already highlighted the importance of having 2 players in each position. In other news, 5 Manchester United players who won't be happy Erik tenhag is staying. The news that Manchester United manager Erik tenhag will remain in charge at Old Trafford has come as a massive U-turn after Ineos power brokers looked all set to sack him. Before the FA Cup final, all signs pointed toward the Dutchman being relieved of his duties at United after a disappointing 8th-place finish in the Premier League. However, victory over Manchester City at Wembley Stadium and the subsequent outpouring of approval for tenhag looks like it was enough to move the dial in favor of the incumbent. Ipswich Town's Kieran McKenna was the forerunner to replace tenhag, but he signed a new deal at Portman Road. Gareth Southgate, Thomas Tuchel, and Graham Potter were all mentioned as possible replacements, but the 54-year-old has now been given another season to turn around United's fortunes. While this is likely to be welcomed by most of the squad considering how well received he was toward the end of last season, there are 5 players who may not be overjoyed to see their manager stay. This may not be because their personal relationship is fractured, but rather because their playing time could be affected due to him staying. One man who is likely to fit in the former camp is Jadon Sancho. The Englishman's relationship with tenhag looks to be beyond repair at this point, as witnessed by his exile from the squad from September onwards. While tenhag is manager, there seems to be no future for Sancho at Old Trafford, which may come as a relief considering how well his loan move went at Borussia Dortmund. Should he leave the club, many would hope that Ahmed is given more of a chance in the starting lineup. Towards the end of last season, the Ivorian was given more of an opportunity in the first team, but tenhag still seems to prefer Antony for whatever reason. If he was to stay, Ahmed may not be as regular in the matchday squad as he would hope to be, leading perhaps towards another push for the exit door come January. Facundo Pellistri is another young winger who seems destined to exit under tenhag. It has not just been the Dutchman who has not seen enough from the Uruguayan to warrant a place in the team, but it seems to be the current boss who is likely to greenlight his exit. Last winter, Alte Beendier must have been scratching his head as he wondered how Andre Onana was managing to keep his place in the squad. At times, the Cameroonian had become a liability, and even he admitted he was worried about his place in the starting XI as he delayed his trip to the Africa Cup of Nations. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash the like button and make sure to subscribe to Man United Hub to get all the latest updates.